This is the Government Week in Review, a look at the major stories for the week. I am Christiane Mitchell. Coming up, fire destroys engine at GREN Generation Station in Carriacou. We'll be back after the break.
Girl, the children are growing up so fast. When I leave here, I am going to take Tevin to get his MMR vaccine.
Kayla was supposed to have another appointment for that same vaccine. But Natalie, I'm not sure. On social media, they're saying that it's not safe. Plus, I can afford to miss work.
Girl, the vaccines are safe for decades. They protect our children. You got vaccinated, and I'm sure you're all right.
Yes, but these diseases aren't out now.
Grenada is open to childhood diseases from all over the world. Today, we have a choice to get our children vaccinated or not. Go get it done, girl. It won't take long.
I suppose so. Anything for my princess.
I want to be protected.
Check your doctor or the Ministry of Health to get the information on immunization against childhood diseases, including HPV and polio, and COVID-19 for elderly persons and persons living with non-communicable diseases.
Grenada's Acting Prime Minister Honorable Lennox Andrews, Minister for Implementation and Transformation Honorable Andy Williams, and other ministry members, as well as representatives from Grenada's police force, NADMA, GREN and a telephone service provider, all journeyed to Carriacou on Friday to assess the damage caused by a fire at GREN's facility in Boucherjou. The early morning fire resulted in the total loss of electricity on the island. The situation also resulted in a closure of all schools for the day. At a meeting held Friday afternoon following the initial assessment, GREN reported that all 4 engines sustained damage, 2 more severe than the others. Company representative Wallace Collins said technicians were working to repair 2 engines immediately, and they are hopeful that there could be some restoration within 24 to 48 hours. The meeting was attended by Honorable Tevin Andrews, Minister for Carriacou and Petite Martinique Affairs, and chaired by Mr. Javan Williams, Permanent Secretary. NAWASA has since advised that there will be valve regulation. Meanwhile, the main fuel supplier on the island, Sol, has indicated that there is no fuel shortage, and as such, there is no need for panic buying. Initial work towards the restoration of the public library in St. George's has begun. We have a report by Annette Moore.
Grenadians at home and abroad will be happy to know that the investigative, planning and design phase for the refurbishment of the Grenada Public Library has begun. For more than a decade, the Grenada Public Library has remained unutilized as students moved from one educational level to another and into the world of work, and as the world moved by leaps and bounds into an increasingly digital environment marked by rapid changes in technology. Former Director of Library Services, Lillian Sylvester, entered the public service in 1978 and worked at the Grenada Public Library until its closure in mid-2011.
I wasn't given a particular reason as to why it was closed, but I knew that there were structural problems with the building and there were some administrative issues. And the whole idea by the administration at the time was to close the library, relocate staff, and see how they could work the problems out. However, nothing happened.
With staff deployed elsewhere, Sylvester tried to maintain the integrity of the facility against termites, bats, and dust. This continued until her retirement. During the library's closure, many citizens consistently called on government to reopen the Grenada Public Library. The Deacon Mitchell-led administration is now heeding that call. On December 5, 2022, during his 2023 budget presentation of the estimates of revenue and expenditure, Prime Minister and then Minister for Finance, Honorable Deacon Mitchell, informed the public of efforts in this regard.
The future of our children is too important for us to be operating without a public library since 2011. Mr. Speaker, we will restore the public library into a hub of knowledge, technology, and socialization for our citizens. and in particular for our youth to support the transformation of the education sector. Mr. Speaker, an amount of $800,000 has been budgeted for the commencement of the public library modernization project in the 2023 budget.
On Monday, April 24th, Minister for Education, Youth, Sports and Culture, Senator the Honorable David Andrew, Minister for Mobilization, Implementation and Transformation, Honorable Andy Williams, and Attorney General and Minister for Legal Affairs, Labor and Consumer Affairs, Senator the Honorable Claudette Joseph, toured the Grenada Public Library with ministry officials and engineers from the Ministry of Infrastructure and Physical Development. Sylvester led the tour of the facility.
I would like to see a state-of-the-art library, bearing in mind that libraries are no longer just books and printed documents, but libraries comprise a lot of digitized information and microforms and, you know, computerized stuff. And this library, as is, the space for this library does not lend itself to a lot of things happening.
The International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions and UNESCO Public Library Manifesto 2022 says the public library, the local gateway to knowledge, provides a basic condition for lifelong learning, independent decision-making, and cultural development of the individual and social groups. It underpins healthy knowledge societies through providing access to and enabling the creation and sharing of knowledge of all sorts, including scientific and local knowledge, without commercial, technological, or legal barriers. That manifesto also says UNESCO therefore encourages national and local governments to support and actively engage in the development of public libraries. Grenada's Education Minister expressed delight at the developments and explained what can be expected in the near future.
Today, this meeting signals our intent and commencement of action. So we have a number of stakeholders on this visit with a view to starting the conversation about what the library restoration is going to look like. After the assessment is done by the engineers, it will tell us what next. It will tell us how far we need to go. It will tell us what are the possibilities based on the structural integrity of the building.
Honorable Claudette Joseph, who is a resident of the town of St. George, says the public library played a crucial role in her life and educational journey. She is ready to champion the cause for its restoration.
I am very happy today to have finally started the work that so many people, not just in the town of St. George, but throughout Grenada, would like to see happen and yearn for a very long time. It's one of those buildings that I am determined while we're in office to see the restoration of, it being one of the very many heritage buildings around the city of St. George that have, by and large, been neglected. I am pleasantly surprised to see that the library is pretty much intact, but it also struck me as like a pause in time, it's, you know, like some aspect of our history standing still.
I think the impact of reopening the library will be great. It signals that we are serious about education, and indeed this government has prioritized education, healthcare and education as two of the top priorities, and it signals that we are serious about finding a space where once more students can pursue their educational undertakings, their studies, their research, their SBAs.
In the estimates of revenue and expenditure, the project is listed as the Public Library Modernization Project Phase 1, which has the overall aim of restoring and upgrading the public library to include a digital department. The major activity for 2023 is the design works.
We are quite prepared to make the necessary adjustments, consult appropriately to make sure the modifications that need to take place are accounted for in the designs.
There is even more positive news on the horizon, as Grenville will once again have a public library.
I am very happy to say that the library facility in Grenville forms part of a public-private partnership that's currently being funded by one of our local entities, the Co-op Bank. And part of that construction will include a library, a modern library, that will be designed in a way, and we've had discussions with the chairman and members of the board concerning the likely design. So that is coming soon, and we hope that that would start within the next couple of months to other things being equal. So I'm excited about that part as well. And we look forward to just one step at a time delivering on the things that we've committed to with this new National Democratic Congress administration.
Sylvester also remains committed to seeing the Grenada Public Library back in service.
Well, as a product of the revolution, I have a strong commitment to nation building and patriotism and all of that. I think I owe it to my mentor, the late Sheila Buckmeyer, to do all that I can do to see library service go from strength to strength. So when I'm called upon, I'll be there and I'll try to do my best.
For the GIS Weekly Review, I'm Annette Moore.
The second batch of directors appointed to serve on statutory bodies will undergo training soon. Advisor to the Prime Minister, Richard Duncan, is one of the initiators of the Directors' Education and Accreditation Program training course. He says all is in place for the 3-day session. The objective is to enhance the knowledge of the directors on their roles in areas of governance, finance strategy, and risk management to allow for decisive and efficient operation of state-owned enterprises that will reflect in productivity and growth, thus creating a positive economic impact. More in this report from Sherry-Ann Noel.
The second cohort of 25 directors of statutory bodies will be engaged in the Directors' Education and Accreditation Program training course from May 3rd to 5th at the Koyaba Beach Resort. The program is part of a government-led initiative to ensure that directors appointed to serve on statutory bodies are equipped with the knowledge to effectively serve. It will again be facilitated by the Chartered Governance Institute of Canada and the Eastern Caribbean Securities Exchange ESCE and will focus on 3 main components: finance, governance, and strategy risk management. Ahead of the training, Kira Bailey-Richards and Dr. Wendy Grenade, both of whom are serving on boards for the first time, the GIDC and the TAMCC Council respectively, spoke to the importance of the upcoming sessions, which they believe is a brilliant initiative by the government, as training is critical to the development process.
I applaud the initiative of the government in ensuring that directors like myself get an opportunity to get in-depth training and certification to carry out our duty of good governance, being able to manage the finances, manage the risk and strategies and so that need to be carried out by the statutory bodies of Grenada. Ever since I've known myself, I've been involved in organizations and that are focused on giving back to the community. I'm a past member of the Rotary Club of Grenada. I served as a director and president as well. And so when I saw the opportunity come up for persons to apply to become directors, I thought, why not? Let me give it a shot and see if I would get through, and I did. And I'm privileged to be a part of the second cohort of directors to be trained.
When we are serving on boards, this is very serious business. I reviewed some of the material that we have to read, and I see we have a module in finance, we have another module in governance, another one in strategy and risk. These are very important areas because at the end of the day, if you are to effectively manage an institution, whether TAMCC or otherwise, you have to understand how to have prudent financial management. You have to understand governance and the difference between governance and management. And as you set the strategic direction for whichever institution you are managing, governing, you have to do so understanding strategy and risk. So I think this is a very, very useful initiative. I really look forward to the training because at the end of the day, everything we do, we want to ensure that we leave it better than we met it. And to ensure that we leave it better than we met it, training becomes important. We could never know it all. And as we engage in this training, I'm looking forward to learning more, to growing, and to ensure that at the end of the training, we can bring back to our organizations more skills, competencies that could enhance the organization as a whole.
Richardson Holder and Joseph James, who have in the past interacted closely with boards, are now directors on the Gravel Concrete and Emulsion Production Corporation Board and the Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority. They too spoke to the importance and timeliness of the training course.
This type of program is needed, especially when it is required for persons to provide oversight on the affairs of various corporations. What is required of directors is to be independent and objective. That is making decisions that is fair and without bias. So the program is definitely needed.
It is timely in that the focus at this point in time is mainly on 3 areas: finance, governance, strategy, and the third one, strategy and risk management. I am entirely grateful for the last 2, the strategy and the governance, because I've been kind of au fait with the finance part of it during my career to date. I would like to see this initiative is a wonderful one by the government of Grenada. So at this stage, let me thank the Prime Minister and the government of Grenada for initiating this training program. I think, based on the material I've seen, this will really enhance and empower the directors to help them in the transformation process.
The first cohort of the program was successfully held in February. Training for the second cohort will commence at 8:30 a.m. daily.
We take a break. When we return, rehab work on Granton Farm Road to result in greater productivity.
At the NIS, we're constantly looking for ways to better serve the evolving needs of our population. We learn from experiences, grow, and improve. Learning from the COVID-19 pandemic, we realized a gap in our benefits that needed addressing. We are happy to announce the commencement of the Unemployment Benefit Program. This benefit provides a recently unemployed individual with 50% of their insurable income. The benefit can be claimed up to 15 days after the loss of employment and continues for a maximum of 13 weeks or 3 months after the first claim. Workers in the private sector, public sector, statutory bodies, work permit holders, and the self-employed are eligible for this benefit. While many are eligible, some conditions must be met to qualify. The person must have been an insured employee who paid at least 52 weeks of contributions at the time of loss of employment. They must also be under the pensionable age. The person must not be at fault for the loss of their employment. This means that someone who voluntarily left their job or was terminated due to theft, fraud, or dishonesty will be disqualified for this benefit. For us to verify loss of employment, the employer must provide the individual with a termination certificate. Additionally, the claimant must conduct bi-weekly check-ins with the NIS and must be actively seeking suitable employment while in the receipt of this benefit. For the full qualifying conditions of the unemployment benefit, we encourage you to visit our website www.nisgrenada.org or call us on 440-3309.
Welcome back. Work begins in the coming week on the Granton Farm Road following a sod turning ceremony held earlier this week. Details in this report.
Members of the Northeast Farmers Organization, along with other farmers in the Granton farming area, are anticipating significant boost in market opportunities following Wednesday's sod turning ceremony ahead of the May 2nd start of work to rehabilitate the existing farm access road. This initiative is expected to improve access to agricultural land in the area a stepping stone towards improving agricultural production. The rehabilitation of this road is being done through the Climate Smart Agriculture and Rural Enterprise Program.
The initiation of this road, which is the very first farm road under the SIAP program, is indeed a commendable one that must be recognized and appreciated. It is also special for the staff of SIAP, who has worked diligently, tediously, went into overdrive to see the start of this project. It is also special for us. It is extremely special for the farmers who will no doubt benefit, who will be the direct beneficiaries of this project, of this over 1,300 feet of road that will be constructed. It is special for you. It is my understanding that you have waited for over 3 decades to see a day like today.
That was Dr. Stephen Fletcher, Manager of the Rural Development Unit of the Ministry of Finance. Relating to ways which the project augurs well for them, President of the Northeast Farmers Organization, Evans Goodings, explained that this project will help them to capitalize on investments made on their farms. Such investment includes the installation of solar-powered water pumps, along with irrigation equipment made possible through the Caribbean Aqua Terrestrial Catch project in 2019.
This road here, ladies and gentlemen, and to the head table, would help to unlock acres of climate-smart agriculture as part of our solution. So not only the farmers from this area would benefit, but we'll show you one thing that will happen also, that my farm up here, once that road is finished, and I will say never, be turned into housing. But my farm will be access to feed the nation and for agriculture and for the nation.
Parliamentary Representative for St. George's Northeast, Ron Redhead, implored the farmers to use this unique advancement as an opportunity to put more local food on the table, reminding the farmers of the passion of former Minister of Agriculture, George Brizan, for the development of the sector.
I want to charge the community of Granton to see this as an opportunity now to go into a different level of the agriculture, the tertiary level. We now have access to these lands. We need to unlock the potential. The Minister of Agriculture always says that we must produce more. This is an opportunity for us to produce more. We need to seize these moments and ensure that in the final analysis, whenever we talk about agriculture, we do not only talk about opening the farm roads, but we also talk about the access that it provided to help enhance agro-processing, agribusiness, and other elements that can enhance the agricultural sector.
Emphasizing the government's agenda to continue to plan and organize the agricultural industry through initiatives such as improving farm access roads, Minister with responsibility for agriculture and lands, fisheries and cooperatives, Senator Adrian Thomas, commended SIAP for the initiative, which would help farmers to reap the benefits of these agricultural lands.
It's a project that I endorse, and I want to congratulate SIAP for focusing on road access. We cannot carry the bulk of our nutmegs and cocoa on our heads anymore. I did enough of that when I was a young man. And when you have the average farmer these days hitting over 50, we have some young ones too. We cannot ask them to do that. So I want to welcome this initiative and congratulate SIAP for walking in that footstep.
Minister with responsibility for economic development, planning, tourism, ICT, and the creative economy, agriculture and lands, fisheries and cooperatives, Honorable Lennox Andrew, reiterated government's commitment to creating an enabling environment for farmers.
The future for farming in this country is bright. The future is safe. Good. That we as a government, what we are doing is facilitating you to farm, in helping you to have easy access to your land. in providing to you some of the inputs that you need to plant, and in also helping you to find markets here and abroad for your products.
This project is estimated at approximately $2.2 million. The Climate Smart Agriculture and Rural Enterprise Program (CSAP) is a 6-year program funded by the International Fund for Agriculture Development (IFAD), the Caribbean Development Bank (CDB), and the Government of Grenada. Reporting, I am Mina Booker.
Grenada is on the home stretch of the National Soil Survey, which was launched on March 27, 2023. 7 other Caribbean countries are also engaged in similar undertakings in collaboration with the University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus. Last week, Minister of State in the Ministry of Agriculture and Lands, Fisheries and Cooperatives, Senator Adrian Thomas, spoke with extension officers at the Moran Propagation and Tissue Culture Station, where Minister Thomas extracted the 114th soil sample for testing.
This project could not have come at a better time when we are trying to revive the agricultural sector, when we are trying to be as precise as possible in whatever we do in the agricultural sector. No longer will farmers be farming by guess. Once those samples are taken and they are analyzed, farmers will be able to be furnished with the necessary information so that they can know exactly, specifically, what are the best crops for that particular plot of land that they are farming in. One of the other advantages that they will have also is the whole question of fertilizer application. Now, if you don't know what the soil has, you will not know what fertilizer to apply to the plants. So with that kind of information, farmers will be guided accordingly. You cannot buy a fertilizer that is high in nitrogen when the land that you're farming, maybe we had pigeon peas or some leguminous crops there, and there's a lot of nitrogen in the soil. So you need to purchase fertilizer that may be high in phosphorus and potassium, rather than buying mixed fertilizer high in nitrogen. The plants do need nitrogen, but you must know what the plot of land that you are farming has in it. Okay. So this is an excellent project.
Minister Thomas commended the work of the team led by Project Officer Trevor Thompson and highlighted the importance of the project to Grenada.
The extension officers, the agronomists, Mr. Trevor Thompson, who I missed in the Ministry of Agriculture as an employee, but I think the Caribbean is making much better use of him and will be able to capitalize and make maximum use of his service also. So I want to commend he and his team for doing such a fantastic job.
How do you feel having taken an actual sample?
Well, I mean, this is not new to me. Maybe some 30-something years ago, I had the opportunity when I was studying agriculture in Trinidad to be involved in a practical way in doing things of that nature. And my 20 years in the Ministry of Agriculture, although I was dealing with pests and diseases, I had the opportunity to provide a service to the farmers who I contacted with. Sometimes you go to the farm for pest and disease problems, but they have other problems and you realize that the plants are not coming, so you recommend that they submit a soil sample. I used to be taking soil samples, carry it to the Maribo lab and get it analyzed, carry back the information, and the farmers will get the answer why his plants are struggling and what fertilizer he needs to apply. But agriculture is back. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I mean, I must say that I am very successful and the ministry is very successful in regards to restoring some level of hope in the farming community. In the agricultural sector. I think people are visiting my office on a regular basis. They want to invest in agriculture, not only on the production level, but they also want to invest in agro-processing. People want to get products out of Grenada. And as I always say, 110,000 people in Grenada with half of the population doing their own backyard gardening. Really and truly the market is small. So any serious investor doing agriculture in Grenada, we have to be thinking of export oriented.
150 sample sites were earmarked throughout the Tri-Island state. Accessing the designated sites was no easy feat, according to agronomist Alison Haynes, who brought the media up to date on the collection of samples.
We're going to create soil maps for the island that would be used to make better decision, more informed decision as it relates to the management, the sustainable management of our soils in Grenada. All of the extension officers are involved somehow in this project. They were trained in collecting the soil samples, all of the extension officers were exposed to that training.
Okay.
Right? And all of the extension officers from each of the districts are involved actively in collecting the samples. You know, it's a tedious process to collect the soil sample. Grenada, it's a hilly country, and we could have driven to these points. But there are a lot of points that were on the ridge, in the mountains, difficult. So at times, officers, some officers would participate in the process today, take a rest tomorrow, and give another officer the opportunity to participate, because it's a strenuous process. Right now, we've collected over 100 samples, and the extension officers, agronomists continue to work with preparing the samples for shipment to UE so that the analysis could take place.
Haynes expressed gratitude for the guidance provided by the experts from the St. Augustine campus.
The project is collaborating with the University of the West Indies to actually roll out the soil sampling component of the project. So we had with us here two professionals from UE that assisted with the collection of the soil samples. They also assisted with the selection of the points that would be sampled, and will further collaborate with UE under this project. You would assist us with actually processing the information. So once the analysis is done, we collected the soil sample, that's one component. Now the soil samples would be sent to UE, and they would be involved in conducting the analysis and actually processing that information in a manner that it can be used by the different players, extension officers, in some instances the technicians in physical planning, because the purpose of doing this national soil survey, as I said, is so that we can make informed decisions as it relates to the sustainable management of soil, not only as it pertains to the agriculture sector, but also for other forms of development.
Project Manager Trevor Thompson highlighted the significance of the project, not only for the Ministry of Agriculture's database, but additionally its relevance to a number of industry partners.
It's focusing on land degradation, neutrality, sustainable soil management, sustainable land management, and of course climate smart agriculture to improve degraded lands.
How important is this project as?
Well, the last soil survey that was conducted in the Caribbean, that was over 60 years ago, and it was done then by the Tropical College for Agriculture, that has now become UE. All right. Without soils information, really and truly, you cannot do proper crop cultivation, crop production, because soil is the basis for land. Grenada has quite a few different soil types, and this survey we have done will help us to identify those soil types based on universal soil classifications, knowing what soil is there, what are its load-bearing capacity, the structure, etc., will help the developer to make the right decision in terms of the structure he's going to construct, what mitigation measures he needs to adopt to prevent soil loss, to prevent land slippage, subsidence, etc. So the information will also be used by the government itself to make decisions in terms of, let's suppose they want to build a school, they want to do maybe a playing field, etc. They will have the information to know if that location is best suited for it. Also, with road construction, soil is extremely important for running of basic things like pipelines, etc. by NAWASA. That helps them because they will know if the size of the pipes they're using and the weight, if that soil is suitable, if they need to do other remedial construction methods to stabilize the pipeline. So there is a a whole suite of benefits that will roll out from this project to all the other sectors: infrastructure development, tourism, education, etc. Important for schools.
Representatives from the 8 Caribbean territories engaged in the soil sampling survey are currently undertaking training at the University of the West Indies St. Augustine campus pertaining to soil science analysis and database interpretation. The samples will be shipped to Trinidad for analyzing. Finally, in the news, Minister for Legal Affairs, Labor and Consumer Affairs, Senator the Honorable Claudette Joseph, declared the World Intellectual Property Day celebrations open on Wednesday. Grenada's Corporate Affairs and Intellectual Property Office celebrated the day with a ceremony and exhibition at the Corporate Affairs and Intellectual Property Office, Upper Lucas Street, St. George's. World Intellectual Property Day was celebrated under the theme Women and IP, Accelerating Innovation and Creativity.
The theme chosen by the World Intellectual Property Organization to commemorate World Intellectual Property Day 2023 is Women and IP, Accelerating Innovation and Creativity. The theme celebrates the spirit of women inventors, creators, and entrepreneurs worldwide who have made remarkable contributions through their groundbreaking work, and in this, Grenada is no exception. Today, we celebrate Grenadian women, and specifically the intellectual property of women who have registered trademarks, patents, and other intellectual property at this CAIPO office. We have, by way of example, the award-winning Monk Pure Water, Just Amazing Naturals, and Pure Elegance, among others, as fine examples.
Intellectual property rights grants a person or business rights to intangible assets that cannot be used without permission. Intellectual property can be trademarks, copyrights, patents, geographical indication, among others. Senator Joseph encouraged the local entrepreneurs to protect their intellectual property.
We also recognize our women and inventors and creators who are not registered as yet with us at CAIPO. We encourage you all to take full advantage of the services we offer at CAIPO, as these services do protect your intellectual property.
Activities for World Intellectual Property Day will conclude on May 10, 2023. Following the ceremony, GIS took its camera to the exposition. From institutions to agro-processors and local jewelers, the exposition attracted. The importance of trademarks was also discussed.
GCN already has a trademark. We've trademarked as Grenada Nutmeg, and now we are moving towards our geographic indicators. What is the geographic indicators? Really and truly, it is, you ask the question, what is unique to your product and how that product can be marketed to the rest of the world.
At Pure Elegance, we carry fascinators, hats, necklaces, earrings, clutches to match, both mini and large at wide. One thing about trademarking is that it's your brand, and your brand is protected for about 10 years. So during that time, nobody has the power or the authority to copy your brand. And because of that, you are worldwide. Actually, you're recognized.
That was Alicia Lett, Quality Assurance Officer at the Grenada Cooperative Nutmeg Association, and Samantha Francis Latouche, owner of Pure Elegance. This brings us to the end of GIS Week in Review. I am Chris and Mitchell, thanking you for viewing.